So anybody that knows me knows that I am a sucker for old trucks of almost any kind. And this is my grandfather's truck. I purchased it off of him before he passed away, a few years before he passed away. It had been sitting around a long time. I was actually able to get it running, just enough to get it drove up here to my house, and it's been moved around a few times, and most recently it was back by the field in the weeds, just waiting on me to have time. I still don't really have time to mess with it, but I had to move it, so I thought I'd bring it up here and clean the bed off and see if I could get it to run so it's at least mobile. This old truck, I believe, was a cabin chassis truck because it's a dually, but they don't stick out. I know it when my grandfather bought it brand new in '83. It didn't have a bed. My father built this bed that you see here, and he put a winch in it, PTO winch, and he actually set it up to have gin poles. Never got them finished though. So just a pretty cool old truck. This was the first truck I ever drove, 4-speed manual. This truck was originally a 6.2 diesel, and it used to have the lid on the hood, but I accidentally knocked it off with a backhoe. But it was a 6.2 diesel. They wore it out. They weren't the greatest engines as far as longevity, but they wore it out. I believe they put a small block Chevy in it out of a junkyard. It didn't last very long. If I'm not mistaken, this is its second big block. This is a 366. It's actually out of a bus. My grandpa bought quite a few old buses to store old tractor parts in. He was a collector, and they took this engine out of a bus, and it actually ran really good for a lot of years, and it would probably still run good if it was freshened up. I think it's got some stuck valves. I'm not sure, but you can see some of the ingenuity that my dad did. This was a long time. This was back when I was a little kid. He put this in. Built a lot of his own brackets to put this tall deck engine in. And it's got power assist brakes that uses the power steering for the brake, because it was a diesel and they didn't have vacuum. So anyway, this is the same grandfather that my pulling truck was owned by. So thought I'd make a video about it, and we're gonna see if we can get it to run and get it to move around on its own. I hate it when stuff sets and can't move on its own. All right, we got the battery hooked up, fuel line in the jug, and we got fuel in the carburetor float bowls. So let's see what happens. All right, so the ignition will not turn. It'll turn to the run position, will not turn to the start. I assume the tumblers are stuck, locked up, something. So I'm gonna have to run a jumper wire. And this is gonna be fun. Found it. Seems the throttle may be a little stuck. Bad valve, but stuck valve, I don't know. Set a long time. All right, well, now we're gonna air up these two tires and see if it'll move. got this throttle spring from a previous project. Ain't hardly gonna be long enough unless we go back here. Ooh. Boom. Not perfect, but it ain't terrible. Worked for now. All right, let's take her for a drive. We're moving. If I remember right, I don't have any brakes because can't remember if there's something wrong with the power brakes. Cause I got steering, but you either got steering or brakes, and I have no brakes. Definitely no brakes. Feels pretty awesome to drive Grandpa's truck again. Somehow it even smells the same in here. Struggle with doors. Like I said before, this was the first truck I ever drove. I learned how to drive a stick for my first vehicle. I couldn't push the clutch in and see over the steering wheel at the same time. It was one or the other. You can imagine how tough that made it. I think we can take her around my brother's driveway here. Pretty awesome. Actually running pretty good, better than I remembered from the time I drove it from his house to mine, but may have been bad gas then. No power steering. That was fun. Well, she actually ran and drove pretty good aside from not having any brakes or power steering. I think when we quit driving it years and years ago, it's because the pump was going bad. At least that's what we assumed. Most likely is. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do. I've been gathering up parts for it for years now. Ever since I bought it, I got good fenders, good doors, no rust. cab's actually really solid. It needs rockers and cab corner, but the floor isn't gone like most of them. And obviously the door latch is junk. But anyway, this door's junk, rusted, and Grandpa, I think he hit a cow, if I remember right. It's amazing, these old tires. They were all flat when we drug it up here with a tractor. That would have ruined today's tires, and every one of them that I put air in held there. So, like I said, I'm going to rebuild this bed because my dad built it from scratch when Grandpa bought the truck. I've actually got a 4-wheel drive frame and front axle, and I'm going to put that rear axle on here since it's a narrower dually axle. So my plan was to make a 4-wheel drive. I got a SM465 transmission for it with a 205 transfer case. My original plan was to replace this engine with a 454 I got out of a RV, but part of me wants to just get this one tuned up since this is the engine that had in it whenever Grandpa had it. So I don't know. Just don't know yet. We got time because I don't get to anything too fast. We got all kinds of projects. Right there's the monster truck that I'm building for the kids. They're helping me out with it, but it's been slow going. We're gonna get back on that. So yeah, I'm just pretty excited about how good it ran and moved, and ready to get this one back on the road. It was just like driving it when Grandpa was here. So pretty excited about it. But everybody seems to enjoy my old pulling truck. That truck was my grandfather's, as I mentioned. They used to haul grain, about 100 bushels. My grandma drove it, so I named it Bernadine after her. Drug it out of the weeds. I think there's a video on my TikTok of the pictures of it. So everybody seemed to like it. It shows some of our other stuff we mess with. Thanks for watching.